Hey everybody, I'm here with Rafael Rosa.
We don't really realize how much we need music in our lives.
Yes,
Well, it's not in our lives as much.
that's definitely the one thing, the one positive thing about this thing is like the world has just realized how important live music is to them. Like, you know?
Music, art, all these things that are very, human. Which makes us human. Being there in the same room. Enjoying each other's company, enjoying three humans or four humans or two humans or one human doing something we've never seen before. Like I'm putting it in the most simplistic terms because it is that simple to me, at least. Like like that beauty. That's the thing about beauty. Beauty is simple. When you go to Switzerland or whatever, or France, or Nietzsche. I've been to Nietzsche and Paris. When you go to Paris, for example, that's a great example right there. And you're One image that comes to me is when you come up, there's like this big circle, and then you come up from the circle, and then once you come up, you finally see the Eiffel Tower, and then that's where the thing comes down. You don't have to say anything. You're in awe. Time you see that, you're in awe. You don't have to say anything. You're just there, and you're just like, wow. And that's how music feels, right? When it's obviously when the musicians are even, they don't have to be educated. It has nothing to do with education. It has to do with synergy. At least with me, synergy and connection to each other, and then to the audience, right? And whatever they're playing, it could be two chords, it could be 10,000 chords, um, and that beauty, you don't. That's why you're in awe. That's why you're quiet. That's why you're like what inspired me to play jazz. I saw there was a concert in Puerto Rico. It was Gary Burton and Chick Corea playing duo, and I knew nothing of jazz. I was like 17 years old, and I was like, but I knew they were talking to each other. I just didn't know. I didn't understand. I was like, so that's why I got into jazz personally, because I wanted to understand music more. But there was, even though I didn't understand, everybody was still in awe. Everybody still perceived that there was communication, especially, Puerto Rico is a very musical country. There's music everywhere. Everybody's clapping all the time, and I think that's with all this situation that's going on. It's like, you know that beauty, we have all seen how important it is to all of us, the artists, the audience. And I think once we get out of this, because we will, if you look at history books, humanity survives pandemics. They just last a while sometimes, but hopefully this one won't last that much longer.
Exactly. So,
Where you going, man?
yeah, we've been working hard, doing different things, adapting. So we try to provide our audience with, um, more content and, better content. So we do so we're going to broadcast your show that you did at Timucua. We do that twice a week. So we broadcast past shows twice a week, or like we're starting to have live shows now without a live audience. But, but similar, the result is similar. You're watching from home, but we also do like so next week we start our first artist in resonance project. So it's a residency, multidisciplinary residency project. So about every 6 weeks, depends, it moves a little bit, but for a week we have like musicians. Then this week or next week, they're all from Korea originally, so it's about Korean culture. So we have, a singer, pianist, and, other musicians, a composer. And then we have dancers, we have traditional costumes, there's a visual artist, and we're all going to put this thing together to kind of do something special. So I'm going to do interviews, like, so it's a lot of work for me. I have to do all these videos and things, but it's new. It's like something different that we've not done before.
No,
And so,
it's because when we first met and I first saw your studio, I was like, wow, this place, you were, I think you were laughing at the shock factor that artists get when they finally get to Timucua. You know, it's such a beautiful place. And you know, but then when we were in the studio, and then you told us like, oh yeah, I recorded your show. We were like, oh wow, like we were like just extra excited, you know. And then it's funny because now this situation happened, and it's almost like you were ahead of the curve in that regard, where you know you kind of had that media to interface to computer to studio to whatever you want to call it now what it is. You know, everybody has a studio in their home, you know, basically. If you have a good enough interface, they're cheaper now. And it's like you were ahead of the curve in that regard. And other venues, you know that are like that in other places, but I think specifically in Orlando, you know, I don't know that many venues who are that ahead of the curve. So thank you. You know, I'm so glad we have that memory, you know, because it was a wonderful night. I really realized how difficult um, my music it really is, and how great of a job Marcus and Gabriel did, because we really didn't rehearse. We didn't have time to rehearse. Sometimes jazz musicians don't have time to rehearse. That's part of the music business. When you're an independent artist, you know, you're traveling from place to place, you're scheduling shows from place to place, and this is, you know, part of the jobs that have been lost because of what's going on now, right? The my ability to make money is selling CDs, you know, meeting with other musicians, you know, playing a show like Timucua, and then scheduling other shows in the same area. You know, some people call those tours. Some people call those vacation tours, because I always leave a couple of days in the middle, you know, for some, you know, rest and relaxation, because I think that's what's beautiful about being an independent performer too. You build your own schedule. You don't have to be a 9 to 5 person, and most of us were ahead of the curve in that regard. Where the thing that has been now kind of put to halt is obviously the moving around, because moving around is not really as safe right now. Uh, and you know, but in the meantime, it's great that we have this memory, you know, of that night. And it's funny because I'm currently working on some of the music, or at least two of the songs that we got to play that night, for my new record. It's called Axiomatic, and it's kind of like a fusion rock, Puerto Rican music, jazz, Stravinsky, whatever you want to call it. You know, I like a lot of music, and I believe in good music, you know, not you know, a bunch of labels. You know, I side with Joni Mitchell on that one. You know, some people make hits, some people make art, and I just think of music like this beautiful canvas that people paint differently with, and my vision of it is this one, for now. And that night we got to play a little bit of it, and it's a very difficult piece, and these guys did such a great job. And then we recorded March 12th in Big Orange Sheep here in Brooklyn, and then March 13th was the shutdown. They shut down the city. March 14th was my birthday. That was a crazy week, you know. It was a crazy week, but I just got the footage of the session, because I had camera people in there, you know, the musicians were all there. I'm a big believer in live music, in recording live, in playing live. However it comes out, you know, I think the best records, uh, you know, I'm very biased with the 60s and the 70s, for example. And that's when recording kind of took off, and was really revolutionized by a whole slew of people and a whole slew of musicians, not only in the jazz world, but in the rock world, in the salsa world, right? In you know, in the disco world, you know, in the pop world. Like the music was really happening in the 60s and the 70s, I feel. And the artists and the musicianship was there. Maybe the technology wasn't that much there, but they made the best of it. And I think a lot of those methods are still important today. And you know, it's like, you know, Charlie Parker's still hip every time you hear him. You know what I mean? Like in all these guys, Monk, you know, they were ahead of the curve. And I think that's what good music is to me. Stuff that lasts forever, not stuff that, you know, is like, you know, whatever, like the Spotify CEO was saying, like, oh no, you have to produce, you know, a bunch of music or else, you know, you won't have an audience. It's like, no, I don't really believe in that. I believe in artists creates at their own pace. And I believe whatever that pace is it is what it is. And that's what makes them special. And what's special is the work at the end of the tunnel, not whatever who's looking at you while, you know what I mean, like the work speaks for itself. And for me, Axiomatic, that's what it's about, that people can enjoy musicians playing this thing that they don't, maybe they don't understand, but it feels good. It feels good. It sounds good. They can't describe it, and it brings them joy. And I think music, at the end of the day, that's what music is about, man. Joy. And that's what you know, the current situation worldwide, we need more of that. We need more young musicians. We need more education. For you need more money in schools for music, because I think music is one of the most I think if aliens came from another planet, you know, not to sound crazy, but if they came from another planet and they would hear American music, and they would hear French music, and they would hear African music, they would really understand how unique we really are in the universe. You know, because I think our circumstances historically have brought us all this beauty, you know, and we need more of it. We need to study it. We need to learn about it. We need to go back and see why, you know, Beethoven is just as special as, you know, whoever the new student likes, you know, whether it's, you know, Kanye or, you know, musically speaking, you know, uh, or whoever. You know, there's a whole slew of new artists now that are important to kids, to this new generation. But we must also teach them that, you know, not, hey, those guys are cool, but have you checked out this guy? They kind of sound a little bit, and then that's what I do with my students personally, right? I connect the dots through history, because there's a lot of dots to connect, and then you really realize who came first and who did what first, and that's kind of like the root of it. And then you can create your own stuff and be your own voice. And I feel with for example, back to the Spotify thing, that rush of making music is altering that process, right? You know, for example, in the 80s, Metallica and all those bands, you know, heavy metal, all those guys spent days in the studio, weeks, hanging out, playing pool, playing ping pong, writing songs. You know what I mean? That chemistry reflects on the music. And I feel the digital age, even though it's easier for me to, you know, connect with you like this, you know, and it's fantastic. I think it's amazing, you know, period. But for example, what makes Timucua special is that we were all there and you were able to catch it there. And that's, and you know, that's, we're all slowly realizing that is an essential part of our humanity, and we can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah. Well, at least in the meantime, people can watch the show Friday night at Friday night this at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever other time it is, wherever you are in the world, and you can go to facebook.com/Timucua Arts Foundation or youtube.com/Timucua. And you will, or you can go to timucua.com/events. You'll find it there too. So it's easy to find, and any donations we share with you, because that is the point of like basically that's the point of that. It's like there's, you know, we try to give the audience content that we have, and then we're lucky to have like these 700 concerts that I've filmed, and then there's another. Yeah. Yeah, and there's another 250 concerts, more than that, that I have audio for, but no video. At the beginning, I used to just record audio, and so and we have other resources so people can see. For example, I have a little course online. It's on our education page, courses, I think it says, and it's jazz in 7 minutes a day. So it's geared at symphonic players. Nice. or students. And it's 6 days a week for 36 weeks. And it's between 5 and 8 minutes a day. And you just play along with me. It's 4 pages of music, and you play along with me. And it's about phrasing and wow. vocabulary and just like basic things. And that's part of what we have. We also teach composition online. It's a composition / computer science or coding class. So because I have always felt that coding. I did a little bit of very very basic coding many years ago, and then I started composing just like 20 years ago, and you know I think I see these two things as being very parallel,
Right,
because
right,
in at least as far as the brain, how the brain works when you're doing it,
right.
because when you're composing, uh, it's and I mean, taking the romantic notion of it out of it, it's about solving problems. Like you start down the path, then you and those problems you created. And so unlike life, where you have to solve the problem that are dumped on you, when you're composing, you have to solve problems that you've created yourself, which is a different process, because obviously you don't have that different point of view.
Right.
So you have, it's your own point of view, and you're the one who caused the problem, and so solving it is a lot more difficult. And so
I think the special thing about that problem, in jazz, a lot of times, at least with the teachers that I study with here, the great Kenny Warner, John Michelle Pilk, John Schofield, Pete Bernstein, who I still study with on occasion. I love Peter. Um, Wayne Krantz, all those guys say different things, but they say similar things, if you know what I mean. I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, I think what you're saying, the way they say it is they like to make a hole for themselves and then get out of it. You know what I mean? Like, and they say that, speaking about improvisation, speaking about, tension and release. So that's the context that they kind of put it in. But if you think of composition is really those things as well, right? It's
composition is just the long version of improvisation, and vice versa. Improvisation is just the short version or the quick version of composition. So absolutely, there it's the same thing, which is why I like that. That approach. And so anyways, so that's why we teach composition and coding simultaneously, because for us it's also, it gives means, because most people have a computer of some kind, even if it's a phone, and but not everyone has a musical instrument. And so, and that doesn't mean they're not interested in music or composition. And so with a computer, you can use sounds and loops and things that exist out there that you can just gather. And so you use your computer as an instrument to be able to compose with. And so if you start from the very very basic coding, like the first premise is, and we use like something that's very visual as a coding language, which is called Super Collider. So it's, and so it's you can, anybody can do it, which is like kind of democratizing composition for non-musicians. And so that's why we do it, because also when you teach an instrument to a young person, or music of any kind, or art of any kind, you're not necessarily saying, okay, I'm going to take you and I'm going to make a virtuoso out of you, like I'm going to build. That's not it. That What usually happens is somebody who will grow as a person and start appreciating art in a new way, and in a better way, or in a better more and so that's building better people. And so that's what we want to do.
I love that you just said that, because I that's listen, I sell it to my students the same way. It's like I teach you, like, if I'm in a time machine talking to myself a little bit, and I always make them realize, regardless of the age, you guys are better than me, because I had to figure out some things and spend some time on some things that I'm telling you, don't spend time on that. Go this way and see what happens. And it's what you're saying, right? A teacher, a real great good teacher, is a catalyst, right? And I love what you're doing there, because you're associating coding with music. Coding is also, I don't know much about coding, but it's mathematics in a way, and mathematics is rhythm, and that's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, there's a connection there. And not only that, the whole beautiful people thing, man, some of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life, and I know all musicians are very different on a personal level. We're all very, I would say, sensitive, shy, but at the same time outgoing, charming. But the word brilliant is never missing. Never. No matter what the level of musicianship is, you know, even if the student is just starting, or if it's a veteran musician who can play, but maybe he's not whatever the most polished you know what I'm saying, like whatever. A musician, you know, we're all musicians. All humans are musicians, right? We some just don't, you know, grow up with the right circumstances around them. You know, the best example is, you know, Cuba. There's this documentary I saw in Cuba where, you know, they explained their educational system. Basically, in Cuba, you know, music is like math. If you don't pass music, you don't pass math. And it's amazing because the guy's like playing a song and he's like, oh, you sing harmony. And the girl sings perfect harmony. Like, and it's like 20 kids and they're all singing perfectly. And it's just amazing because they're young and the ear can be developed where, you know, because we all sing, you know, we can all sing. The musician is part of being human, right? And what you're saying about better humans is absolutely right, because it's like, I don't think I've ever met, you know, I've met, you know, it's like this documentary I just saw from the Beastie Boys. You know, they were the most creative people, especially in the 80s and the 90s. And a lot of people don't know that they were really into jazz. They loved it. They loved jazz, but their music might not, you know, on the surface reflect jazz, but there's a lot of jazz in their music and their approach too. There's an improvisatory approach to hip hop, that a rhythmic improvisatory approach, and that only happens by being exposed to the music. And think about it, all these people that make music, they're all great humans, man. They all have, you know, none of these machiavellical evil people, you know. And it's sad because even in politics too, we need more artists in politics. You know, all we have is people that are engineers and lawyers. Not even engineers, we have lawyers and economists. And it's like, and that's okay, you know. I have nothing against those people, but I think we need more people to balance out the artistic part, because some of us, I would say all of us in general, I would generalize that term, but artists are the most brilliant people, no matter what they are. Dancing, you know, painting, piano playing, oboe playing, whatever it is, whatever every time you meet a new young musician, there's some of the most brilliant people, and we need that. And man, thank you for doing that, because we need more of that. And that's the message I'm trying to spread with my music, that whatever you want to make it, but you know, there's a discipline to it. There's a thing behind it, and let's respect it, because there's a lot of tradition there. And listen, it's okay if it's hard. If it wasn't hard, then what? You know what I mean? Then, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what it takes. That's what it shows us: persistence. And it shows us the beauty. That's why when you meet a musician and you hear them play, you know, and they're killing, you know, the hours they put in. You know the hours they're put in, and it's instant respect. At least from me, you know, it's like I'm instant. I know how to approach you as a professional, and because it's like, man, you know, to get there, woo, wait, I've practiced, you know, for like 25 years, and I still practice every day. You know, imagine. I wonder how long you've been practicing, and you find out it's like 30 years, and sometimes you find out it's 15 years, but then they've been doing it since, you know, age 4. And that's amazing too. And we need more of that. We need more of that. So I really thank you for taking that initiative, for putting that message out there, man, because it does make better humans. Absolutely. I'm 100,000%. Look, I even get chicken skin saying that, because music, the gift of music, without the gift of music, I would have never met my wife. You know what I'm saying? I would have never met you. I would have never gone to Australia, you know, to present my music at a festival a couple years back. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. And that's what it is. That togetherness, that, you know, and
Exactly. So let's all get together, everybody, Friday night, watch it, donate, and everybody's going to be happier. So thank you so much, Rafael. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And timucua.com.
just had my coffee, so that's why I was literally finishing my coffee. That's why I'm like, ah. But thank you, Benoit, for what you do. Thank you to the audience and for having me. And I hope you guys enjoy. We had a lot of fun that night. Full house, I think, or almost a full house. and you know, hope to be back again soon.
Hope so too, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.